Hey guys, I know that my hair is a little bit of a mess, but right at this moment, I really don't care. Alright, anyway, so I get a lot of comments on my videos where they're asking me about what they should do when they're super nervous for an audition or a competition. I did make a video on dealing with nerves, which I will link right here for you guys. Those are very practical tips, but I thought that for this video, I could tell the story of the time that I was the adjudicator. Right before my master's started, I had already moved back to the Bay Area where I had grown up. For your reference, I moved up to Vancouver, Canada when I was around 14 years old, and I stayed in Canada throughout my high school and my undergraduate years. Anyway, I was back and it was right before my master's was going to start, and I was asked by the church that I grew up in from when I was a very little girl, actually from when I was a baby. They found out that I was back in the area, and they found out that I had just done an entire degree on flute performance and that I was about to do another degree on flute performance again. Basically, they found out I was a giant nerd, and they actually hired me to organize and coach a mostly classical chamber concert for their kids at the church. It's pretty amazing how many kids at this church played instruments, although when you take into account that everyone was Asian, maybe you're not so surprised after all. Anyway, I thought, hey, why not? I get to go back to the church that I grew up in. I get to see a bunch of people that I haven't seen in years. So the experience itself of going back there was already weird enough because I almost felt like I was going back in time. You're seeing people from like your past and you're like, oh my gosh, you still exist. So anyway, I was actually told that I have to audition all of the kids. And at that moment, I was like, say what? All of my life up until that point, I had always been the person going to be judged, not the person who is judging all of these people. It was pretty crazy because it was actually a pretty official thing. I remember sitting there with like a binder and I had to write notes on everyone, and I had to sort of compare my notes and figure out who could play with who. When they're auditioning for me, I could see the look on their face. They're like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't mess up. I hope she thinks I'm okay. Oh my gosh, what if I get a super crappy part because I play really badly? Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I can't play right now. I can't remember the scale that I'm supposed to play right now. It was really weird for me because everything that I could read right off of their faces, I have personally, deeply felt within my soul. I have been there. I don't want to be responsible for having put these kids through a very nerve-wracking situation. I did have to get them to play scales for me, which was really weird because I remember hating that part of the audition, but I realized that I had to ask them to play scales for me because I had to see how evenly they actually played. I had to see if they actually knew the scales really well. How they play, to me, does not reflect on them as a person, of whether they're nice, of whether they're mean, of whether they're respectful or disrespectful, etc., etc. For me, I was really just trying to figure out who they fit with in order to make cohesive groups that could play together at the same level. But I could see on their faces that if they did badly, that I would not like them. And that just broke my heart. I really wanted to just say to them, how you play does not affect how much I like you. How you play really only affects which group you play in. It really doesn't matter. I'm just trying to make sure that you will be playing in an environment where you can have fun and learn at the same time without being overwhelmed and without being too bored. Seeing their faces when some of them messed up their scales, seeing them cringe when they get a note wrong, I understood how that felt. I remember that there was like one or two of them that looked like they were about to cry, and it just broke my heart because all I wanted to do was to find them a good group to play with. It's very difficult when you're on the judging side to express that you're really not judging them on how valued they should be as human beings. I remember that after that experience, every audition that I did where I was the one being judged, I suddenly went into those auditions feeling much less nervous because I know what it's like being on the other side. If you are the person going in to be judged, you're only responsible for how you play. But when you're on the other side, when you are the one who is judging, it's really up to you to decide what quality of playing constitutes good quality playing. And that is extremely subjective, and it is your responsibility to make that decision on the fly when you're there. What's on your mind as an adjudicator is not how well that person played, It's actually, am I ranking these people fairly? Because you have so many people to listen to. At least let's hope that most adjudicators think this way. So yeah, it ended up being a very good event. I do know that some of the kids were not happy with their placement. It really was because I knew that they would learn more in the groups that I put them in. As far as I could tell, it seemed that they changed their minds after a while, after a few coaching sessions. It looks like everyone did have fun. At least I really hope so. Next time you go in for an audition, just know that there's a lot going on in the adjudicator's mind. It's a lot of responsibility. Anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you ever adjudicated something? Have you ever wondered what adjudicators think about? Please leave your comments and your questions below. Please subscribe to catch new videos every Saturday. My last video is over here, and my social network media stuffs, if you want to catch me during the week, are down there. But otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Bye. There were some other adults who were volunteering with me to just help me out and make sure that everything was on track. It was really weird because some of these adults, they taught me Sunday school or children's choir, and they told the kids to call me 老师, which, if you know, in Mandarin means teacher. Guys, that was so weird. I was like, no, please no. My teachers calling me 老师 was the weirdest thing in the world, and they trust my judgment too of what the rankings of the kids should be, and that was weird as heck. And also very scary too, because I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much responsibility on my head right now.